Welcome back to Equal Time Soccer. I'm Mark Pavratsky here in the basement of the world's only queer soccer bar, the Black Heart. And we have someone here today, a special guest, someone who was fourth in the entire nation last year in assists with 13, a program record at Northeastern, where she is an all-Colonial Athletic Association midfielder. Welcome, Jessie Hunt.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right on. A little late last year. I mean, I guess the season was too busy, but as you started to stack up assists. But now we're coming into your follow-up campaign at Northeastern. Talk about last year. We'll talk about more than just the assist number, but to get it off the plate right away. 13 and 20 games, like I said. Have you ever had a year, just a statistical blowout year like that?
No, never. It was my first year at Northeastern, so it was pretty cool to, I guess, like make such an impact so early. But credit to my teammates. We had Vivian Akiram, one of our forwards, scored most of those goals. So a lot of credit to her. She's really fast. It made it easy.
Yeah, and as a freshman, right? She was just a
freshman. Yeah, as a freshman, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So, and I mean, not only, like I said, I mean, you got the assists, like you got numbers and got, attention for yourself, which is cool, but the team was also winning. I mean, so it's,
yeah, exactly.
It's not one of those
That's
things
like the more fun part.
You didn't have to pick either or. You were a part of a winning squad, which Northeastern had a few really good years before you got there. But what was the type? Was that what you envisioned when you were transferring, or was it more just wanting to find the place to play and then we'll see from there?
I think like half and half. I had talked to Northeastern a lot in high school, and I was kind of in between there in Wisconsin when I was making my decision. So I think like kind of knowing the coaching staff and also knowing that it was a successful program, like that every year like we compete to win the championship, I think was another like big plus. Plus like being in Boston's been awesome.
Yeah, well, and it last year, even among it probably leaned into it a little bit as you got into it, but like the last games you were on fire in terms of like 7 assists in the last 8 games, 8 assists in the last 9. So clearly, like you found your rhythm. What specifically made this team a place where you could shine like that? I mean, you mentioned having Vivian scoring a lot of goals, obviously, but more than that, just what made you thrive in that environment?
I think like our team really tries to play like a possession style, so that's obviously helpful playing the 10. Like I'm getting balls to my feet where I can face forward and then like have time to look up. And like our back line's been stellar. There's another girl, Ala, who's our holding mid, along with like there's another midfielder, Porter, who like also helped me a lot, made a lot of like good defensive plays, which allowed me to like work on the more attacking side in the midfield.
Well, so the team got hot at the right time into the playoffs, beating Stony Brook for a second time to open the playoffs, and then you have an assist in the semi against Drexel. So then you must just start to think this is real. I mean, you think you might be able to play in the tournament.
Yeah, we were so close. We lost in double overtime in the championship. So, and I think the year before they lost in overtime too. So this year we're hoping is our year. We returned a lot of players, so. Hopefully.
Double overtime loss to Hofstra, and you were that was a team that you had beaten earlier, right? So that's tough to know too. Where it's tough to beat a team twice, but also we could have won. Obviously, going to double overtime.
Yeah, I think it was just like obviously like finishing our chances. We had a couple, they had a couple chances, and they just got the better end of it. So it's unfortunate, but this year hopefully.
When you think, so now you've had time, like it's been a while, and now you're just reflecting on kind of how to turn that into positive motivation for like, how do you get perspective from that coming into the season? Like, how do you help yourself with that?
I think just like knowing that like we do have a championship caliber team is helpful. And then also just like kind of a little chip on your shoulder, like you really want to win. We also lost, I think we ended up getting 3rd in like the conference in general, but if we would have won our last game, we would have won that too. So I think it's just like knowing we're right there, and hopefully this is our year.
Yeah, you have so many local rivals, and Boston is just a really dense area. And then even in your non-conference, like last year and this year, so many other teams close by in Connecticut and everything.
Yeah.
When you went there, like who did your teammates impress upon you that they wanted to beat most? And then like for you after last year, who do you now want to beat most?
Yeah, I mean, I think Hofstra's definitely like number one. It's been 2 years where they've beaten us in the championship, but then BU is always a big one. We play them this Sunday.
Yeah.
So I think that's always one you want to win, like home turf. Drexel is also another big one. they're always really good. So
there's no specific energy at Harvard since they're like
yeah,
we take
Harvard
them down a
too.
peg.
Yeah, Harvard too. They're really good, but we don't play them this year, which is unfortunate because our conference like expanded.
Yeah.
So we don't get to play as many non-conference games. But
Yeah.
Harvard's another one. BC, obviously, kind of
Yeah.
anyone in the area.
Right. Well, yeah, because you have like Harvard of being like the elite, you know, like that
Yeah.
KU is, and then BC being like the big sports school compared
Yeah.
to you guys, and then so
Exactly.
yeah, it was fun to cover. Like last year, you played Boston, and there was who was the Minnesotan playing in that game? I don't remember.
Marley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was there's Minnesotans a little bit over there too, not as much as the Midwest.
And Andy Barth plays at BC, so
yeah.
There are kind of a lot of us around here.
Yeah, for sure. And then so when you come off last year, like the team being successful overall, like you said, even though it feels like you lost at the end, most teams do, but you were close, you had personal success. So just what are your goals for this year, your senior year?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously like trying to score a couple goals myself is one.
Sure.
But also I think just like trying to be like a bigger presence on the team, like from a leadership standpoint, and like kind of like making sure we have like different areas in our attack, like we're not just like one-sided.
Yeah.
And also just like working on my defensive game a little bit, like positioning. So I'd say those are like my main goals, but definitely like to score a goal or two in the run and play would be nice.
Did your teammates give you shtick? Did you have a couple where you should have ended up on the score sheet last year?
Yeah, there were definitely a few that were bad misses, and then I think sometimes too I'm always like looking to pass it when maybe I should just shoot it.
Well, Vivian scored 13 and 20, so I'd say not a bad person to pass the ball to. Yeah. I'm sure expectations are high for her this year too. How in terms of your role? I mean, obviously you were a junior last year, but it was your first year on the team, so it makes sense. Like not necessarily knowing, or being so forward and being a leader. How much of the squad from that year last year is back, and how has your role shifted in that way?
We definitely lost like some big personalities in our senior class, but a lot of our team is returning. So, I was voted captain, so I think like that's one kind of big leadership role, but we've also just like throughout the year, especially in the spring, like our whole senior class, like kind of gone through and talked about like what each of our roles are like in leadership, like what we're best at, and then just trying to like bring that every day.
Yeah. And it looks like you picked up where you left off. You've had some mixed results as a team. You have 3 assists in those 4 games, but you got a win over Holy Cross, win over Eastern Michigan. Talk about, and I think probably you're still seeing Vivian and Karam. I wanted to ask specifically about her, just what you said she's fast, but she came in as a freshman and scored. What makes her so special? And then maybe talk about another player who you were dropping assists to last year that we should pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, Vivian's just, very fast, really good 1v1, makes good runs. We got another transfer from Georgetown, Sophie. She's had a couple goals already.
Nice.
More of like a hold-up forward type. And then my roommate, Megan Pavinsky, always gets on the score sheet. She's really good at finishing corners, so can look for that.
Nice. How has the Colonial Athletic Association been different than playing at Wisconsin? Obviously, maybe a drop in talent level, but you've got some really strong teams that you said like make the run and get into the tournament each year.
Yeah, I think it's definitely different. Like I would say like athleticism wise is like, in my opinion, the biggest change. I think too, like the Big Ten's more about like not like kick and run, but a little bit like
sometimes
like behind. Yeah, sometimes. And I think like a lot of teams in like the CAA are more looking to play on the ground. So I'd say like that's the biggest change. Yeah. And also like I'm playing a very different role. Like I was playing outside back at Wisconsin at the end. So now like playing attacking mid's definitely kind of a change up. But
no, I watch a decent amount of Gopher soccer games.
Yeah.
And you notice, like, I mean, it's any conference. There's certain tiers of quality, and then like the type of teams in the bottom of the Big Ten just make it tough on you, and they will it can make for, to be honest, like really for a neutral fan, make for a really tough game, and for a player, a really frustrating game, I'm sure, because you don't get to show your skills.
Yeah, there's just a lot of like gritty players, I feel like, who are really athletic, fast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I will take a second to read us a bit from our sponsor, Pentz Homes. This show is brought to you by Pentz Homes. Whether you're buying or selling or looking to do some projects in your current home, Nate and Lydia can help you find what you need. Need financing for a basement remodel, looking at a second bath, or even a workspace now that you're working from home? Pentz Homes and their preferred lender, Angie Shearer, with Luminant Financing, can help find the right financing tool for you. Go to pentzhomes.com or learn more on social media at Pentz Homes. So let's go a little closer to home and talk a little bit about the roots in Minnesota. You had experience playing with the Thunder and ECNL, and specifically with the Thunder. What are your favorite memories of playing for them? You had some titles and some tournament runs.
Yeah, I think we were really successful, obviously, which was fun. But I think just looking back on it, like the competition every day in practice was always really fun. Mm-hmm. We went to Seattle one time and just like exploring the city was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Like just I guess like moments with our teammates. But soccer wise, I think like every time we played the Hawks, like whenever we would win in that game, it was always like huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who are the Hawks?
Michigan Hawks. They were like our rivals in club.
Okay, right on. They were the ones. I mean, because you don't have teams super close, so it's those teams in Chicago and Michigan.
Yeah.
In probably and I'm sure you how often, basically every weekend you're traveling out, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like every other weekend, I would say. Mm-hmm. Maybe like once a month.
Yeah.
But yeah, good.
Who were the best? You have a lot of players you played with growing up, and then of course you have players that we'll talk about Salvo later. But in terms of playing with players at Thunder growing up, who were the best players, or like when you were on that team, who did you just know you're like, yeah, she's going to show out and be solid in college?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depended on the day. Like so many good players, but I like your Paige Peltier, Caitlin McBean, like Kaya, Sophia Bowman. Mm-hmm. I'd say like those are like you always knew they'd definitely like be on it. There's definitely more, like Megan Prozit, she plays at Denver now.
Yeah, it goes pretty deep.
Yeah, like
pretty much everyone
is missing so many people.
Everyone is playing. Basically, everyone is playing D1, and if they're playing D2, they're a star. So it's tough to pick. They all get name dropped at some point in interviews on Equal. Yeah, no worries. But you also played at Edina in high school. Just talk about that balance. I like to get into it a little bit with players, just because it is tough. Like, how did you balance playing? Did you play all the years at Edina? How did that go for you?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I didn't play high school soccer. I trained with the boys MTA team. Uh-huh. And then my sophomore and junior year, I played, and we were good. Like, it was fun because it was a lot of like the girls that I'd played with growing up who I got to play with again. Mm-hmm. And Sophia Bowman and I have always been friends, so that was fun. And then my senior year, I ended up getting hurt in ECNL Nationals. So then I ended up, for a couple months, I was like, oh, maybe it'll heal. But then I got ankle surgery a couple games into the season, my senior year. So that was definitely a different role, but still fun, senior year.
Mm-hmm. I saw that your coach made comments about it when in that year you were injured and you still were at every game, and they just complimented you so highly on your role. Just, I mean, I don't know, how did that help you as a player? Because usually you're just playing and starting, and that made you develop skills.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps with the leadership side of things, and also just remembering there's more to soccer than just the people on the field. It gives you a different perspective. So I think it's definitely beneficial, and just some time to rest the body and work out, get back in the weight room more. So it's really okay. Yeah.
Was it also kind of the thing of because you couldn't actually play, you're like, oh, there has to be more to life than soccer because I don't get this joy that I get
No, I think for sure. Yeah. It was definitely hard, but it's still fun. It was a great group of girls. So
yeah. I broke an ankle last year, and just not being able to walk, I was like, wow, this is really humbling. I don't know what to do with my time.
Yeah. Especially too, because I feel all the things I like to do, even not soccer, are moving around, so it was definitely a change.
Yeah, can't even go for a walk when you're bored. Can't even, nothing. Talk about favorite moments with Edina, because it's a good team. I mean, you also are playing in brutal competition, playing, the other Western suburban schools. So just talk about maybe your favorite or hardest memories, trying to make it through state, with Edina.
Yeah. Oh, it's so long ago. It's hard to remember. Yeah. I think we lost to Tonka, in the championship of conference, but just I think the path getting there my junior year like especially with all my like I said, like my friends from growing up was definitely a highlight. I don't
Yeah.
know. We had some fun other like off the field traditions too.
Yeah.
So
Was it was it ever a thing where your ECNL coaches kind of pressured or like wanted you to focus and just do that, or were you was it something that you were able to do both and not feel the tension?
no, they were pretty okay with us playing high school. Danny was a high school coach, so I think
Cool.
everyone on my team for the most part played.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then you ended up at Wisconsin. And what was it about? I mean, how did you end up there? What was it? What was the drop?
I think just like being close to home, like being at a bigger school, I think especially in high school, I was like something I really wanted.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, and it was just also like kind of a championship team. Like they've done really well.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the coaching staff. I really liked the school.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a really good engineering program, which is my major. So I think that was like another like big thing. Like obviously after soccer, you
Yeah,
gotta use
yeah.
your degree. So
Biomedical engineering?
yeah, now I'm chemical, but it's basically the same
Chemical?
thing. Yeah.
It means the same thing to me, basically. What is it? But what do you hope to do with it after? Do you have a specific idea of that?
Well, I was on a co-op last year. Northeastern has like a program where instead of going to school for a semester, you go and work for 6 months. So I was working at a biotech in Boston, and that was a really cool experience. I think like being in the lab every day was really cool, but kind of also opened my eyes to like maybe I do want to go to med school because that was a thought going into college.
Mm-hmm.
So I think right now planning on going to med school, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you still have another year of eligibility left to
Yeah,
you?
so I have 2 years of school left still, even though it's my senior year.
Yeah.
With like transferring the way my like credits
Yeah.
worked out. So and I have another year of eligibility, so it works out.
Yeah. Awesome. And then when you're at Wisconsin, you did play. I mean, you played, I think, what, 10 games your freshman year, which is, I mean, unique, honestly,
Yeah.
in terms of first years. But then, going in the second year, played a little less. I'm guessing that played somewhat of a role. But what was the overall process of deciding to transfer?
I think it was hard because I love the team. So it was definitely like a hard decision to make, but I think I just felt like I was putting in so much time in soccer and like not getting as much playing time as I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I think just from a life perspective, like Wisconsin's close to home and I wanted to just be like challenged a little bit more, like see something different. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of thought, why not? One of my friends had gone to Northeastern. She was in my like freshman year class at Wisconsin and she actually transferred here. So I also like kind of knew like
Mm-hmm.
that she really liked the school and I was hoping it was still an option. Like obviously you don't really know till you're in the portal, but yeah.
When
I
you
think that
did
was kinda,
when you were in the portal, were you already, you said you had already knew Northeastern, but was it a more complicated process? I'm sure you got messages. How open were you in your process of it?
yeah, I think I was pretty open. I like kind of had in the back of my head that like I wanted to go to Northeastern, but I definitely talked to a couple other schools.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think just at the end of the day, knowing the coaching staff and like knowing someone who like went here, I didn't want to make like the same just like put myself in the same spot, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And also just like being in Boston, like that was another kind of game changer. And the co-op program, since I knew like maybe I want to go to med school, maybe I want to do engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So having the opportunity to do a job, like work a job and see if that was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think.
That's a great experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had an internship in college where I really enjoyed it too, but I was like, oh, I don't exactly want to do this.
Yeah.
And it was fine. And it was good because it gave
Yeah.
you perspective on different jobs. And
Yeah.
You played with Salvo this summer too, which I'm excited to talk to you about because that was a crazy run. 2 years in a row now. Salvo has been in the national tournament. And I didn't know if you'd played with them in previous summers. Had you played with them in the other summers of college?
Yeah, I had. I think after my freshman year was my first summer. So this is my third year. Past year.
And there's tons of and you have like a cluster of girls you played with in Thunder growing up who all play. So like you have some players you've been playing with for a long
time. For a long time.
Just now at Salvo. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And in terms of this summer, I mean, there's so much talent on the team, both because of you have at least a handful of people who played professionally somewhere. And then you also have, the players who are the high level commits who are high school seniors. What is it like playing with the group and just how does it help you in terms of the standard?
Yeah, I mean, I think first off, it's just so much fun. Like everyone's super like nice and obviously there to like work hard. And I think like playing again with like Kaya and Sophia and other players who I had played with growing up is obviously fun. And we play like a really good style of soccer.
Yeah.
Like trying to pass, and Greg's a really, really good coach, so it was super fun. I wasn't there for a ton of the summer, but when I came back, it was like just a super high level, and you're always getting pushed, like trying to get better. So
when did you come into the year? Like when were you there? I saw you in lineups once or twice at least.
Yeah. No, I was gone until the end of June, like working here still, but I came back for a weekend when they played like Kansas City and I don't even remember who else we played. White Bear maybe.
Yeah.
So I was back for those 2 games, and then I didn't come back until right before we went to regionals.
Oh, okay, cool. So I mean, the season overall, it was it's funny how it worked out because you ended up going to the tournament. The first game I was at, and it was a great game against Sioux Falls, who fought and kept it to a draw.
Yeah.
And then the main game that always ends up determining the last couple of years, usually who wins, is playing the Thunder and Salvo.
Yeah.
They draw, which happens from time to time. So then the only difference is that you drew another game. So the Thunder end up winning. But they choose, so they were the Northern Conference champions.
Yeah.
But they elect not to go to the playoffs. And Salvo says, "Okay, we're ready to go." So when you hear that, what did you think? Because in summer league, I mean, Salvo was in the tournament last year, but it's not always a thing where you even know you can have all the players to go to the playoffs, right? So was your mindset like, well, we'll just go and have fun, or was it like, okay, let's try to win?
No, I think we knew going in like we had a chance to win, so that was definitely the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since we had lost last year. We like wanted to play Colorado.
Yeah.
We had to win our first game to do that. So definitely a mindset to win.
Yeah.
I had been there for training like a couple weeks before, and we were definitely focused. Like,
yeah.
It's all like just awesome that Salvo was like willing to fund the team, I guess, to go.
Yeah.
It was a great experience.
Yeah, and no shade to the Thunder. I mean, part of it is player availability. Part of it is you got to be able to put up the money and go and travel. So I mean, it is a challenge, and it is a really cool thing because it made it something we could highlight. So for a couple of weeks we were showing. We would be sharing all the stuff going on, and I wanted to ask you one thing about the team success means. There's the depth in the WPSL conference is pretty good, but then there is the tiers where you'll play a couple bottom teams. And there was one game that was 14-1, but even in game, that's an outlier. But even in games that are like 5-0 or 4-1 and 6-0, how do you as a player get things out of that still? Or how do you as a team adjust to take value out of games like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a mindset. Like it's you against you, kind of, not you against the other team. Just trying to play as quick as you can, like, and obviously also like coming in like with a mindset before you start, like this is still a game, like giving respect to your opponents every time you play them, and just like focusing on like how well like we can move the ball.
So because it is the challenge is you have some of these games that are really wide open and you run it, and then once you get to the playoffs, there's no games like that, right? So everyone is tough. You sneak past Milwaukee in the first round and get the game, which I know you wanted because they were the team that knocked you out last year, the Colorado Rapids women, who they're a really perennial team in the WPSL. You beat them 2-0. Then you must really think, okay, yeah, we could do this.
Yeah, I think then it was like a conversation on the bus. It's like, who's going to nationals? Like, it was just like once one of us committed, I think that kind of got everyone else in, and we were able to get a good team with a couple younger players too, which I think is a super cool experience for like the girls who are playing in the GA to be able to come to something like that.
Yeah, unbelievable. And then you still when you go down to Oklahoma City, you play SC Del Sol, another like powerhouse team, and you win 2-0 there. So then it's tough. You have to play these two games. This is something about summer league that can be really tough. The semi and the final are back to back, which of course both teams are doing that.
Yeah,
but that must have been brutal.
Yeah, it's crazy. It kind of reminds you that you're not in high school anymore, able to play like 3 games back to back.
Yeah. two games in one day when you're a U14.
Exactly.
No, that's really intense. Yeah, look, I mean, you're still in college and you guys bounce back, but I'm sure it was hot as hell.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely slow bounce back, but yeah. But
that must be, still an amazing experience. and you personally getting to actually come in, you might not have got to play any games, but then you got to play through that whole run,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, it must have been nice for you to kind of get something out of it.
Yeah, it was super fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have some assists in the run up?
I think I had one in the SC Del Sol game.
Nice.
Takaya. Yeah.
Right on. But I want to get into some more random quick hits. Who, with the Salvo team like this summer, what player do you dislike like training against? Whether it's a defender that's marking you, or it's a goalie you have to shoot, or it's just someone you have to compete with. Who makes it tough for you, or you want to play against the least?
There's so many. So many people are so good.
Can also be just because they're gonna work you.
What?
Kaya Harper.
Yeah. You can get into a little bit of a tussle with her, I feel like.
She's pretty. She's mad. I'd say she plays mad, dude.
Yeah, no, you can't piss her off, then you know you're gonna lose. But Meredith Hawkinson's another one who's just so good, so you gotta really keep your feet, because otherwise, yeah.
Really steady, really solid. Like, she'll take the ball off you, she'll make you pass and make you look foolish, probably.
Yeah. One other one would be Emily.
Yeah.
She always wants to win, so you definitely want to be on her team.
Kaya Harper is, for the fans who attend any WPSL games, there's not enough fans that you can't hear the players on the field, and so everything that Kaya Harper is saying, which is it's great.
Yeah.
What is the best? What is your favorite Northeastern food? Your Boston food?
Ooh, I haven't really explored, which is embarrassing, but.
You have to have had some seafood at some point, right? No?
I don't like seafood.
Oh, well, then that's the wrong place, babe. Yeah.
I know. And one of my teammates' parents owns like a super nice seafood restaurant, so we went there and I ate pasta.
Well, I love that.
There's like more of just a takeout place. It's called Cava. Mm-hmm. It's like a chain on the East Coast, I think, but we go there sometimes for games and stuff. It's really good.
Right. Hey. I didn't expect. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't thinking of lobster. All I was picturing was seafood. Yeah, no. The place. That's okay. When the team gets it, the other players get to enjoy the oysters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Other than that, like you mentioned, being in Boston, I've never been there. I mean, what a cool historical city. What's your favorite part about being in Boston?
I think it's just like there's always something to do. Like whether it's go on a walk to the Charles, which is a river near us, or like go to a baseball game in Fenway. Like, it's just nice to always like have everything within walking distance, basically.
Yeah. Is the Northeastern campus one that, I mean, I know it's within the metro area, easy to get on transit, easy to get around?
Yeah, we're like right in the city. We're maybe a half mile from Fenway Park, and that.
Sweet.
Yeah, like Newberry Street's another one, which like has a ton of shopping. We're probably like a mile from there, so can't complain too much.
You must hate New York now.
I've never been to New York.
No, but if you're going to Fenway and get all your Boston teammates, you must just like.
Yeah, my dad and I actually went to a game against the Yankees, and it went into the 10th inning.
Cool.
Boston won, so.
That would have been a blast. That's a good bucket list to be at Fenway for a Boston Yankees game. That's what I mean. I mean, like, you're so sucked into it. You're wearing red. Your team's red too, so like it works out. Yeah. If you see someone wearing a Yankee cap, you got to knock it down.
Yeah.
Non-soccer related, I was wondering, so we were talking about all the colleges in Boston, and so like you've been there a year now, and I'm wondering, I joked about Harvard and then like BC being like the bigger sports school. What is the Northeastern role in amongst the ecosystem? Like, how do the Northeastern kids describe themselves among the rest, and then how do you think like the Harvard kids? It's a huge school, right?
Yeah. Harvard or Northeastern?
No, Northeastern is big.
Yeah, Northeastern's like 30,000. There's a lot of international students. I think like Northeastern likes to separate themselves through like saying they have co-op kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Harvard obviously is known for being very smart, but there's a big
MIT. Oh, is MIT there too? No, is MIT there?
Yeah, MIT too. There's just so many.
Wow.
You like meet people out, and sometimes we like to like guess what school they're from before.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Because in the context of all the schools, you'd be sitting there being like, well, like yeah, of course you would. Yeah, no, it's. Do the Harvard kids say do they not say Harvard? Do they say I go to school? Do they do that thing? Because I've met a lot of Harvard people, and half of them do that thing where they say I went to school near Boston. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, I feel like when you're in school, maybe not, but definitely like after.
They're pretty proud of it right now. Yeah, they're pretty proud of it. They haven't.
Well, and if like you ask them where they go to school, they can't say somewhere in Boston. So.
Yeah, not to you. Yeah, it doesn't work in Boston. Fair.
Yeah,
makes sense. Like I said, you got Lauren Isles. Is it Ailes?
Always.
Alice. Yeah, the third way I could have tried.
Yeah.
From Lino Lakes over there. You said you don't like seafood, so when you two are thinking about like Midwest food or what you're missing out in Minnesota, like what are you sympathizing with? Like missing hot dish? What is it?
I think like more than food. Well, yeah, definitely the state fair. That one's a huge bummer. Sweet Martha's cookies, but I think or the corn at the state fair. But also just we're always talking about like, oh, we wish we were on the lake right now.
Right.
So.
Yeah. That's what we've got. You guys got you got the ocean and you got historic Boston, and we Minnesota summer's special. So
no, we're always bragging about Minnesota. So
that's the other thing. So the next thing I was going to ask is, so you two are there from Minnesota, and then there's a ton of people from the Northeast. You have a few people from other places like the more Mid-Atlantic, Virginia, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the accent world there must be harsh. How do the vowels? Do the Northeast people make fun of you guys for accents? Do you think they have crazy? And do the people does your players who aren't from there think both of you guys sound insane with your vowels?
Yeah, I think honestly, not too many people have really bad Boston accents. My coach has a little bit of one. But they definitely make fun of like Lauren and I, more so Lauren with the way like she like says like big, like that kind of thing. But I don't say that. So
hello, milk, whatever we do.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Or like we have a big argument between like cornhole and like if it's cornhole or bags. So
I don't like the name cornhole.
Yeah, I always call it bags too.
I think we can call it bags. My experience with folks from Boston or Northeast is they don't have that much of an accent, and then one or two or three drinks, and then you're like, wow, it's really coming out from Boston. Yeah, start talking about the Red Sox and maybe at Fenway it comes out a little more.
Yeah, I think too, like more so in like people who have lived here for a while, like older adults. I feel like you run into like some guys with major accents.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean the middle-aged moms and aunts of Minnesota have much thicker accents than we currently do, but we'll get there, I'm sure.
We'll see. Yeah.
Who is your favorite soccer player to watch?
I've always said Sergio Busquets.
Well, you're in luck.
Now, so I'm hoping to get to a game.
Do they have a Revs game? They might have a Revs game. Maybe.
I haven't checked. I should check.
They might.
Yeah.
But although, by the way, don't spend your money on unless you have the money. It's gonna be like $500. So unless you can work in a deal,
I'm thinking wait a couple of years, maybe. Hopefully they'll be playing.
Maybe next year Northeastern Soccer can be a guest team.
That's a good idea.
You guys can walk them out. You guys can be the ball kids, and you walk them out. You get to be with Messi and Busquets.
Yeah.
It is fun. It's been fun to watch them. I bartend at the soccer bar, and people will come in just to watch a non-Minnesota, like a Miami random game.
No, it's good for the soccer world, I think, in the U.S. in general.
It is. Once the tickets level out, at least the people with season tickets don't have to be. All the regular fans don't have to do the $500. But awesome. It was wonderful to talk to you, Jessie. We mentioned this earlier, and I'm sure we'll look for you to get, one of the game-winning assists, but you're playing Boston U, one of your local – are they the Terriers?
Yeah.
The Terriers, which, come on, a Husky's going to beat a Terrier any day. Sure. Sunday, the 3rd of September, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's on Flow TV, which for people, there are multiple conferences. It's a paid streaming service, but there are multiple conferences with Minnesotans playing in them that go on Flow TV. And then Northeast Sports Network, which is, I'm sure, a Northeast media option for people not in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But thank you, Jessie. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Good luck to Northeastern this year.